Welcome back to Rosella. My name is Adam Smith, and today I'm excited as we continue our journey inside of Dice Throne Adventures from Roxley Games. We'll pick it up exactly where we left it off. If you haven't checked out the setup video or part one of the journey so far, I'll put a link to the entire showcase in the top right-hand corner so you can get caught up to where we're at. But as you'll remember, if you were following along, we had just run into the Lost Swordsman at the Thorn Bush. The Lost Swordsman is already set up. It is a level 1 minion with 11 health and 0 CP on the dials. You'll also see its attack. It is trying to get a certain set of icons only. We'll continue to roll for that as a roll objective, and we really don't want to see it, but it wants to see it, and it's going to try to progressively throw more damage at us, but it is defendable damage, so that's good news. We'll be able to use our defensive stat against it, and then when we're making attacks against the Lost Swordsman, if it is defendable damage, then it will be making its defense roll. So, without further ado, let's dive into the very first round of combat, which starts with the Cursed Pirate because this one does not have first strike. As we head into a minion battle, worth mentioning again, the salves you can use at this point in order to heal based on the scenario card, which tells us 3 health plus 1 for every portal shard we have. We have 1 currently, hoping to get another one next time we move to the environment tile that is level 2. That'll give us 2, so I'm kind of waiting until then to start spending salves. I have 25 HP right now, not bad. We're going to go right into our very first turn order for the battle here with my turn first, and we're going to get the upkeep phase, which we have nothing to upkeep. The income phase is going to give us 1 on the combat point dial, so we'll go up to 6, and we're also going to draw a card here, see what we get. Off the top, we have Batten Down. The Batten Down card I just got is very handy. If I don't want my hand of cards, I'm going to discard all of them and then draw 4 new cards up, which is quite handy. I'm going to keep it for now in my hand, but I'm not going to use it. Now we move into the main phase. I have a Truce card I could use to inflict Parlay against my enemy. That would help against damage, but I'm going to hold on to it for my level 2 environment tile I'm moving into next battle. So for now, we're going to hold on to that card and not use it. We're going to move into the offensive roll phase. My goal here is to try to get one of the doubloons back on my Cursed Pirate because I do not want to flip over this early at this point. So we're going to be trying for that. In order to do it, I'm going to aim for X marks the spot. We want to see 3 chests in order to pull this off. Let's see what we get. We got exactly what we need, so we're going to stop, I think, right there. 3 chests will give us 1 CP. We get to roll 3 dice, and depending on what the 3 dice roll, we're going to be able to trigger some things. So let's hope we get ourselves a cursed doubloon. It is not guaranteed, but let's see how we do. Let's get lots of skulls. Let's get lots of skulls. Yeah, we got 1. That's awesome. Okay, so we got 1. And actually, you'll see here that it's 1 times the number of skulls. This one is a chest card, so this is going to, or sorry, drawing of a card. And this one's going to inflict 2 damage. That's undefendable. So not a bad roll, but can we mitigate this or change it in any way? Well, the 1 CP we pretty much just gained, we're going to use it in order to do 6-it. We can change the value of one of our dice to a 6. So I don't want to actually gain another card. I'd rather flip this to a 6 and gain another cursed doubloon because this is my chance to kind of get caught up a little bit. So it's going to give us 2 of those tokens, which will go here. So my 2 undefendable damage go through, knocking the Lost Swordsman down to 9. We have the chance here in the main phase to use cards again. I'm not going to. We're going to discard cards if we need to. We do not have to, and I don't want to. You can sell cards at this point by discarding them to get CP, but I'm pretty happy. I have 6 CP right now, so I'm good with what I have. Now we're going to go ahead and lose one of the doubloons we just gained. So remember I gained 2? Well, I just lost 1, so we have 1 remaining. So we're sitting a little bit better than we were when we started the video. The Lost Swordsman is coming right back at me. Here we're going to roll some dice, and it's looking for white symbols, and there's a 50-50 chance. 1, 2, and 3 positions on the die have white symbols. So we got 1 here on the first roll, so we continue re-rolling because we're rolling towards the roll objective of those white icons. We got a whole bunch from that roll. That was kind of painful. Last one here is going to be, and that one went flying out of the tray. We'll go ahead and re-roll it. It ended up being white, so that is a full, wow. Okay, that's going to be 7 defendable damage coming at us, so we do get to use our defense. The Cursed Pirate has a Hoy Matey for defense. We get 4 dice, and depending on how we roll, things are going to happen. We actually have the possibility to even gain cursed doubloons in here as well. We got 4 defense dice. Let's go ahead and roll and see how we do. We got ourselves a skull, 2 swords, and a chest. That's actually going to gain me another cursed doubloon because we landed it perfectly. And we're also going to gain a CP for this one here. Oops. And then these 2 right here are also going to inflict some damage too. So our defense provides a little offense. We get 2 undefendable damage thrown against the Lost Swordsman. That's going to drop it down to 7. We had 1 chest, so we gain a CP. And then because of the 2 swords and the 1 skull, we get the cursed doubloon, putting us up to 2 of those doubloons on the player dashboard. Now the Lost Swordsman is going to inflict some damage on us. It's going to be 7 coming at us, but we had 1 skull, and that converts into 2 defense. So we only have 5 coming through, which is going to knock us from 25 down to 20. That was a decent hit against the Cursed Pirate. We now start the Cursed Pirate's turn with the upkeep phase. Nothing to do here right now. Income phase, we're going to go up on the dial to 8 CP, and we're also going to draw ourselves a card, see what we get. Got ourselves the Cursed Cards. This one's cool. Choose one, draw a card, or receive 2 undefendable or 2 damage. They're going to go straight through. And draw 2 cards, or receive 4 damage and draw 3 cards. So you basically are paying through your life in order to draw extra cards, unless you want to just draw 1. Now going into this offensive roll, we know the enemy has 3 health left. If I can get undefendable damage, that is what I'm preferring here because that will go straight through. We'll see how it goes with the roll. Got ourselves, ooh, interesting. We got lots, oh wow. Okay, so we got the 4 swords to get defendable damage through, and it would be 7 plus a powder keg, which actually wouldn't be all that bad. We might want to stop right here. We could also try to go for the small straight because we do actually have 1, 3, and 4. We're just missing the 2. And of course we could reroll away towards that. If we, that actually might be worth it. It might be worth trying. Let's do it. Let's try. Let's try to see how we do with the second roll here. Okay, that worked. Okay, so we got the small straight. I guess that's not terrible. So that basically is the exact same thing as what we would have gotten with the Cutlass Strike now. So we can kind of use this last roll here to see if we can push it to a large straight. Let's see if we get the 5. Oh my gosh, my final rolls have been crazy. So that is, that's insane. I don't know what the odds are there to get that. It just seems like that's happened a couple times in this video that have shocked me that it actually landed the way I wanted it to. So that is going to be a large straight, which deals 9 defendable damage. So that's more than this thing has, but it does get to defend against it, so it might be able to knock that down and keep itself alive. But it does get a powder keg token, which is great. So the powder keg goes on the enemy. It's going to make its defensive roll here, and here's hoping I don't see many of the yellow icons because that will perfect. This actually works out really good. So the first one here says, and there's a little bit of an equation here, so it's going to go ahead and deal 1 damage for every white symbol. So that's going to be 1. And then it's 1 damage times the red, so that's going to be another 1. So 1 plus 1 is 2 damage coming at me, which is unfortunate. And then this is going to prevent 1. My Cursed Pirate takes 2 damage, unfortunately, dropped me from 20 to 18. And then it's going to prevent 1 of the 9 damage that's coming at it, which is not enough to keep it alive. It is dead. And this enemy provides a level 1 loot. Let's go ahead and roll the d20, hope for good things. We got ourselves a 7. That is going to be 2 command points. So we go from 8 up to 10. Now to end off my turn here, I'm looking at some of these red cards that I want to go ahead and use in order to just bring some new cards in and potentially sell off some of these ones that are just cluttering up my hand. So I've got a bunch that draw cards. So I'm going to go ahead and just use this one here to spend 2 CP to draw 3 cards. So I'm down to 8 on the combat dial. I got Pirate's Life, Get That Out of Here, and Swashbuckle. These all seem cool. This one allows me to gain a cursed doubloon. This one here removes a status effect from a chosen player. And this one here allows me to roll on a number of different things that could potentially come out of it. So these are all great. I'm going to keep all 3 of them now. We do head into the discard phase now, so this is where I could discard down. I could also just choose to keep using these instant action cards until I'm done, but this one here costs, is this 0 CP? Yeah, it is, to draw 1 card. You know what? I might just do it because I don't really want to receive damage for the rest. So I'll go ahead and discard this just to draw 1, see what it is. We got Crow's Nest. Okay, so now we've got that. This one here, I don't think I'm going to use. So I'm going to go ahead now in the discard phase. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cards. I need to discard down to 7. So I'm actually going to go ahead and toss this one because I just don't think it's worthwhile. And do I want to sell anything else? Not really. These are actually all very useful now. So I've kind of just refreshed my entire hand of cards with only spending 2 CP. And I've got a lot left to spend on the CP front, but much better card options going forward. And last but certainly not least, we lose one of the cursed doubloons off of our character board. So we have 1 left. Well, my friends, I don't think it's a surprise where the Cursed Pirate's going next. Let's head to the level 2 environment tile and pick up that portal shard. We're 1 step closer to the objective of the portal crawl. Let's go ahead and flip over the environment tile level 2, see what we have. The Cursed Pirate wanders into the Lone Road and is going to gain 2 CP, so we're going from 8 up to 10 in just a moment. We're also going to discard 1 card randomly from hand, so we'll flip them all over, and we're going to lose 1, which is unfortunate, and then a positive status effect, but we don't currently have any on our board, so nothing there. We're back up to 10 CP. I'm just giving these cards a shuffle in hand. They're all face down. We're going to take the top one off and see what we get. We have lost Get That Out of Here. Remove a status effect token from a chosen player. So I guess it's a good one to lose right now, but might not be depending on what enemy is coming up next. The enemy we've run into is the Raging Centaur. This one here has first strike, so unfortunately it will be going first. It has 15 health and 2 CP. I've got them on the dials. You'll see the charge attack there, nasty, and then down below a defensive roll of 3, and it's going to inflict knockout if it gets those yellow symbols, which is not good. You'll see here this one is rolling towards this objective right here. Now this is important to note, if you go into battle with someone that has first strike, you still get to spend your salves first before first strike actually happens, and you can spend multiple salves at the same time. And now that we have 2 of the shards, when we actually use a salve, we're getting 3 plus 2, and that's going to give us 5. So if we spend all 3 of these, we're getting 15 back. So we heal all the way back up to 33. Well, remember we started off with 35, so we're practically at full health. The Centaur is not messing around. It's going to be trying to roll towards 2 white, 2 yellow, and a red. We stop whenever we hit one of those that matches what it needs. So we've got 2 white, done, 2 yellow, done. We need the red. So we'll just continue re-rolling until we get it. Wow. Okay, so it got absolutely everything it needs. So that die roll triggers the charge, which states that it's going to do 6 defendable damage, so we do get to roll defense against us in a second. It also states the active player immediately discards a random positive status effect. We don't currently have any, so that's good news. And it just says down here you could actually spend it before discarding it if you can. Now let's trigger our defense for the Cursed Pirate. We're going to go ahead and roll 4 dice, see how we do. Let's see what we get. All right, 2. That's actually not a bad roll at all. So this is going to inflict 2 damage to the enemy. So it's going to go from 15 down to 13. I'll do that in a moment. We're going to gain a CP. We're also going to get 2 defense. So instead of being hit for 6, we're actually hit for 4. And then we're able to actually gain a Cursed Doubloon as well. So we go up to 2 of those in the dashboard. That's going to do it. I dropped my health down to 29 from 33. We got a Cursed Doubloon here. We also went up on the CP, and we hit the enemy from 15 down to 13. Not bad. We now go to the upkeep phase of our Cursed Pirate. We have nothing we need to do here. We go to the income phase. We're going to go up to 12 on the dial. So we got lots of CP to spend. We might want to start thinking about using some of these cool cards we got here now that we kind of rejigged our entire hand. And we're also going to go up with 1 more card here. So we got ourselves, oh, nice. Change the value of any 2 dice. That's a good one. Now we head into the main phase, and the one thing I did was I went ahead and discarded Crow's Nest. It doesn't do anything for us because you're rolling a die against the opponent and you're looking at their hand or having them discard cards. It really doesn't affect us at all when you're playing against the AI, so we're getting rid of this one. This will give us 1 CP, so I jumped us from 12 to 13. We've got these cards here, so I still could go ahead and action any of these if I want, and I'm kind of interested in this one. It says gain a Cursed Doubloon, and then if your board has been flipped, heal 3 instead. So I think I'm going to go ahead and use this actually. So we're going to go ahead and spend 1 CP, dropping down to 12. We're going to gain another doubloon, so we're back up to 3 now. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to spend 3 CP. We're going to drop down from 12 down to 9, and we're going to use Truce. I want to inflict Parlay on the Centaur. So we got the Parlay token up there on the Centaur. The next thing we're going to do is spend 2 CP. That'll bring us from 9 down to 7. This is Swashbuckle, and this is going to allow us to roll a die, and something could happen to the opponent. So hopefully it's something good. Got ourselves a 1. It says on the sword, and it's not based on the number, it's based on the icon, sorry. So sword, deal 2 damage. Nice. That's going to go straight through. So 13 down to 11. Let's move on to the offensive roll phase and see how many skulls we can get in this roll. I really want to see lots and lots of skulls. Oh, 2. I like that. That's a good start. Getting 2 is very nice. I haven't gotten that in a while, so that will keep me going. Let's get another skull. Oh, yeah. So we got ourselves up to Shiver Me Timbers. Basically, we're at that right now. So I could keep this so I know I have this, and then I could go ahead and re-roll this to try to pump myself up further, but I don't think there's anything really beyond. Well, I'm not going to get us straight into this anyway. So I don't think there's really any true reason to push this, although I guess I could go to Black Spot, which is, yeah, Black Spot's not bad. Yeah, let's go for another skull. Let's see if it happens. Okay, it didn't happen, but we're going to stick with Shiver Me Timbers with these 4 right here. This attack is going to deal 7 undefendable damage, so it doesn't even get a chance to defend whatsoever. It says I can remove as many Cursed Doubloons as I want off my board, so this is a great one to use when you want to transition to a more powerful cursed version of the Cursed Pirate, which you haven't seen yet, but it's a good thing to have towards the end of the game, because once you flip over to the other side of the dashboard, you have to stay on that side, so I'm kind of waiting to do that, but this is something you want to trigger if you want to get rid of a bunch of doubloons in order to push yourself towards that. I'm trying to hold off for now. There's also, it comes with a con because once you're cursed, of course, you start actually hurting from the health side of the equation and taking little nicks of health every single time. So there's a trade-off for the extra power versus the loss of health. I do not want to go down that road right now. So 7 damage is going to go straight through the Centaur. The Centaur takes the damage. It is down to 4 now. We go to the second main phase. I don't want to do anything inside of it. Discard phase. We could discard cards if we want to, but we don't have to as long as we have 6 or less. I've got 2 cards left. I'll stick with them. They're both nice cards to have. And we now lose a doubloon. So I had 3. We go down to 2. So we're definitely doing good in that situation. We now move to the Centaur's turn. But as you'll know from Parlay, basically nothing that comes from the offensive roll of the enemy is going to be inflicted in terms of damage. And we know that this thing, when it gets damaged, the only other thing it gets out of it is this, removing a random positive status effect. And there isn't any positive status effect. The Curse Doubloon is considered a unique status effect, so it doesn't take a doubloon away. It would only take away things like, do I even have a positive status effect? I don't have any I can gain off of my character's reference card, but there's certainly positive ones you can get from the game itself. So in other words, there's no point even rolling for this because the damage doesn't go through anyway, so there's nothing to defend against. I can't even do a defensive roll. It's all just a wash. So we're going to go ahead and remove the Parlay token, and the turn comes right back to me. So we'll jump up our CP to 8, and we're going to draw a new card to add to our 2 cards that we have. Hopefully it's a decent one. This one is Heave Ho. Says roll a die. On a skull, inflict Parlay. Nice. On a chosen opponent. On any other outcome, draw a card. So that's still a pretty good card. I actually like that quite a bit. You don't have to spend anything. So we just did income. We're now in the main phase. I mean, why not? Let's go ahead and spend this right away and roll and just see what happens. I mean, it can't hurt. I mean, I guess if we burn the Parlay, we're kind of wasting it. So I guess that's the downside, is it might not be the right time to, it might be a good card to keep. Let's actually not use it right now. That's probably a better idea. Let's hold on to it and not do it. Let's go to the roll. Let's go into our offensive roll. Of course, we want undefendable damage because then it'll go straight through the 4 it has and we're good to go. If we get defendable, it has a chance to kind of stand up and keep fighting at us, which I don't like. Wow, that is going to lead us right towards the Cutlass route of 7 damage. I have it right off the hop here. It also puts a Powder Keg on. Powder Keg, pretty good, gets 3 on there unless it comes back to me, of course. Or I could keep hunting for something else. I might actually re-roll these 4 and just see if I can get something a little bit more exciting. Whoa, that's a bit better. You know what? I'm actually really tempted to re-roll these 3 and see if I can get Shiver Me Timbers one more time, because that would just clear it right out. Let's just see if we get lucky. Come on. Yeah, we got it. Did we get it? Yes, we did. We got all we need for Shiver Me Timbers again. So it's going to be dealing 7 undefendable damage. We're not removing any doubloons. We can do that by choice, but I'm not going to. So 7 is enough to wipe this thing out. The Raging Centaur is no longer raging, and we're gaining a level 2 loot. All right, here's hoping it's a loot card. That's what I really want to get at the top. It'd be awesome to get an epic, but I don't think I'm going to roll a 20. We'll see. We got a 2, complete opposite end of the spectrum. This is going to be a +2 damage. That's not bad, though. Could come in handy, seeing as we're going into another battle with likely another level 2, unless we change directions in terms of where we move next. You know, let's get a little bit crazy here. Let's head backwards. We're going to move back this way and head towards the last portal shard and this here. The salve could help us with some health. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll move around. We're going to come here and we'll be able to gain another loot at least. Let's go ahead and roll the loot die and see what we get for the level 1 loot. We got ourselves an 8, and looking at the chart, that is going to be a drawing of a card, just a single card off the deck. All right, so we're getting ourselves ready for battle, I guess. We got ourselves, what is this? Bye-bye. Remove a status effect token from a chosen player. That could be good depending on anything we get that might be negative. We found ourselves at the Lonely Shrine. It says you may play an ability upgrade card from your hand that costs 2 CP or less for free. I have not seen any ability upgrades for the Cursed Pirate yet. So they have got to be all buried in the back half of my deck, which is brutal. I did shuffle it like crazy, so I don't understand how I have not seen one yet. I haven't upgraded a single ability yet, which is wild, but they're probably coming down the pipes real soon, I'm sure. So we're not going to be able to take advantage of this unless, of course, I could actually force my way to use an automatic card here, I should say an instant card, to kind of get some other cards into my hand right now. So that doesn't look like it's going to be possible. Nope. So we're not going to be able to take advantage of that, but we do get to find out what our level 1 minion is going to be. So we ran into the King Vulture. It has 8 health and 2 combat points. Let's go ahead and roll and see what it does. It's going to be rolling towards the objective of as many yellow as possible. It got itself 1 off the hop. That's good. Keep that low. Let's fail this. That would be awesome. I got itself to the first here. It's going to continue onwards. Can it make it work? Oh, it's undefendable too. That makes it even worse. So it's dealing 4 undefendable damage. You know what? I don't want to take that damage. I'm going to go ahead and use this twice as wild. Change the values of any 2 dice. I'm going to choose to change these values, and that's going to ensure that this undefendable damage doesn't even trigger because it needed 3 yellow to happen. So just like that, we've dealt with it. This can be used inside the roll phase. So I've done so. I'm going to spend the CP, which is 3, dropping me from 8 to 5. We'll now go into our turn order here. We have upkeep phase. Income phase is going to have us drawing a card up, so we're going to go ahead and do that. Got ourselves getting paid. We can gain some CP. And actually, this is an instant that doesn't cost anything. So while we're gaining our 1 to go to 6, why don't we just spend this right now and gain 2 more? So pretty much got all of our CP back for what we just did to mitigate damage. Let's go ahead and make our attack against the King Vulture and see what kind of damage we can inflict here. We got ourselves a whole bunch of chests. You know what? I'm not really seeing any skulls here, so maybe we'll go down the Cutlass road for now. We'll keep the 2 swords and re-roll the rest. Okay, now we got a little bit more of an interesting mix here. We don't have any straight potential. Well, it's really dicey. Dicey. We've got stuff all kind of spread out right now, which is really not the best. I could re-roll this and hope for a 2 or a 5, which actually isn't terrible odds. Like we might be able to pull that off. Do I do it? I guess let's go ahead and try. No, but we did get 3 swords. Well, my friends, that was a roll that did not go the way I wanted it to. So we're going to do Cutlass Strike for 5 damage. Do I want to use this? Not really right now. I kind of want to hold on to that for later. So we'll do, well, I don't know. Do I? Because what if he defends against it? How's his defensive roll? Yeah, he can prevent half the damage. Yeah, we'll probably add it in. So we're going to have 5 defendable damage plus 2. That's going to be 7. And it has 8 health. It's going to be doing some rolling now. It's got 3 on its defense. So let's see how it does. It's looking for yellow icons to defend. It got 1. So on 1, you prevent half the damage rounded up. So if we're doing 7 damage, then half is going to be 4 damage prevented. So 3 getting through, 8 down to 5. Now going into my second main phase, I didn't expect this thing to still be alive, and I don't want it to be able to do undefendable damage to me, so I'm going to go ahead and use Heave Ho. This is going to cost nothing. I roll a die, and if things go my way and I get a skull, I inflict Parlay. Otherwise, I just draw a card. So we got a chance here to avoid undefendable damage. So we'll see how it goes, and it's not going to happen. We do get to draw a card. Well, this is kind of funny. I can also use this in the main phase as well for nothing. It rolls a die, and I gain half the value as CP rounded up. So let's just go ahead and do it, because, I mean, why not? We're going to gain half, so that's going to be 1 on the dial. Really, really dropped the ball on this turn, and that is going to do it for my turn. I have nothing else to do. I'm going to keep the 2 cards I have here, which either of these really don't help me right now. This might help me, actually. This might actually really help, but the problem is if they can pay 2 CP, which this enemy can, then unfortunately this is not going to be any use to me. You'll see what I mean in a second, but for right now we do lose the Cursed Doubloon, so we're down to just 1 of those doubloons left on my player board. So we head into the minion's turn. It's going to be making a roll against me, and this is what I was talking about. If I choose to use this during its roll phase, select an opponent, they must pay you 2 CP or else re-roll that die. So in other words, even though this sounds like you can manipulate their dice roll, which you can, they have to be low on CP because they're obviously going to go ahead and spend the CP and give it to you in order to have it not affect the die roll. So unfortunately, they have exactly 2, so this card is not going to be very much benefit to me against this enemy, but a 0 CP enemy it would be very beneficial for. So the King Vulture is rolling here. I'm a little bit terrified because this could go up to 6 undefendable damage, which I can't do anything about, so here's hoping that doesn't happen. And we got ourselves 2 yellow out of the gate, so it hasn't met its mark yet. Will it make it? Probably. Yep. And then will it get any worse is the question. Last roll. Okay, got a little bit worse. It's going to be 5 undefendable damage, so we're going from 29 down to 24. I don't like it. I do not like it. We're going to go up to 10 right now on our income phase. We gain another card. We had nothing to do in the upkeep phase. This one here says 1 more time. A chosen player may perform a reroll of up to 5 dice during their offensive roll. That's a really good one. All right, going into this roll here, we're really hoping to get some Cursed Doubloons, so I'm aiming for the black spot, or what else could I get a doubloon from? I can get one from X marks the spot. That's 3 of the treasure chest, but if I go for X marks the spot, it helps in the Cursed Doubloons section if I happen to get the skull, but it doesn't do much damage. Like, the chances of damage are so low. You only get 1 die. to do any damage. I need 5 damage to kill this thing. I cannot have this thing continue to peck away at me like it's doing. So I really need to just take this thing down. It's fun trying to do the damage and also get the doubloon. And the only way to really do that is to get like Pirate's Touch, which is 5 skulls or Black Spot. So I'm kind of regretting using that change to die card earlier. We'll see how this goes. Okay, so we got 1, 6. It's not terrible. I'm willing to do one more reroll because, at least with all 4 of these, I should say, because I got 3 5s, which is outrageous. Okay, so we got a, oh, okay, we got a small, oh, there we go. We got the small straight, so that's not horrible. So that is going to be powder keg and 7 defendable damage, but that might be enough to do it. Now the problem is it's not going to help me on the doubloon front at all. Yeah, so I might have, and that's okay because I won't be converting this turn anyway. So let's just kind of go with it. Let's see if we can get to a large just for fun. No, but we got to another skull. All right, there, King Vulture, you got yourself a powder keg on you. You have 7 defendable damage coming your way. Let's roll some dice and see if you can prevent anything. Yellow is preventable icons. There you go. So it's going to be half of 7. So it's 3.5. It's going to be rounded up for the defense. So it defends against 4. And so 3 gets through. So 3 is not enough to kill this thing. It's down to 2. But maybe the powder keg will be able to do the rest. And to end off my Curse Pirate turn, I lose the last doubloon that I have, so I really need to focus on that the next turn. Otherwise, at the end of it, I will flip over. Starting off the King Vulture's turn, it has a powder keg, and here's hoping I get a 1 or 2 on this roll, because that's the only way this thing's going to explode and kill this thing. Otherwise, well, if I get a 6, it's coming at me, and that's just cruel. We got a 1, so we are good. The powder keg explodes. It's a good, because it's a, what is it, a 33% chance, basically, out of 2 sides of a 6-sided die to hit this, and we landed it, so that is going to wipe out the King Vulture, and thank goodness it doesn't get another undefendable damage attack. We're back up at the very top here, rolling on the loot table. Let's see how we do. We got ourselves a 12. That is going to be 1 gold, so we're going to 19. And what pirate doesn't like gold? All right, my friends, I think we know where we're headed now. We're going south to the level 3 environment tile, the first time we've seen one of these enemies. But first we grab the portal shard, which is our 3rd portal shard, completing the boss portal. So we're able to now move to that boss portal in order to interact or fight with the level 4 minion in order to complete the portal crawl. But first, we are currently at the level 3 environment tile. We got to flip this over. We also picked up a salve, which is great. I'm going to be using this for sure. And now that we have 3 portal shards, we'll get 3 plus 3 for our healing of a salve, which will be 6. That'll bring us from 24 to 30. I'll do that in a moment, but first let's see what we've landed on. We found ourselves at the Mountain of Salt, and we have options here. The first one is we can spawn a level 3 minion, which you'd expect from a level 3 environment tile, or alternatively, we can roll a die, and on a 1 to 3, we're going to actually take on a worse enemy, a level 4 minion, which is the same equivalent level that we'll face when we do the boss portal, so that's pretty nasty, most likely. And then a 4 to 6 gains us a level 3 loot, and then we have no combat whatsoever, so there is kind of a risk-reward there of do we want to roll this. Now, it's worth mentioning if you have instant action cards like these red ones or cards that could impact a die at any time, you could use them to kind of tip the odds in your favor. So it's not really a 50-50 roll. You might get a little bit better odds than that. I'm not really willing to risk it and to go for this right now because I got a funny feeling it'll probably tear me up to the level 4 and it will devastate me pretty badly and I'll be trying to recover afterwards. But if I had the right cards in hand at this point in time, I might actually try and attempt this. So instead, I'm going to take the tier 3 enemy, which is a Black Root Elf. This one has 15 health, 2 CP, does a whole bunch of nastiness with straights. It's trying to get straights of 3 in a row, 4 in a row, or at worst 5 in a row. At least is defendable damage that it's doing, but it does some nasty stuff. It also has crazy defense. It rolls all 5 of its dice. So upkeep phase for me is going to be nothing at all. Income phase, we gain a card. What do we get? Tippet. This one is increase or decrease any die by a value of 1. That is a great card to have. We're going to go up to 11 CP for income phase. We are done. Main phase hits. We have no main phase cards whatsoever. So we head into our offensive roll phase. All right, I'm aiming for skulls in this one because I want Cursed Doubloons, or if we don't get skulls, X marks the spot is treasure chest. We can go for that one. That's got a little bit more chance to it, though. Really chance involved in everything here because we are looking for skulls and they're hard to find. So we can tip a die, though. So we can keep a 5 to tip it to a skull. So we can kind of, you know, use that to our advantage as well. We'll see how this goes. Ooh, what we got? Okay, so now I know the skull thing's not going to really work out, so we should probably change to the X marks the spot, which is these 3 chests, so we'll do that. We'll stop right here. We'll go ahead and take a CP for X marks the spot. We're going to roll 3 dice, and we're going to cross our fingers that we get ourselves a skull here, because I'm hoping to not turn into a cursed individual just yet. We'll see how this goes. Come on. No, we are going to convert. So for now, this one here is going to tell us that we're dealing 2 damage times the number of swords. So we're going to deal 2 damage straight through to this enemy from 15 down to 13. And we're drawing 2 cards. The 2 undefendable damage I just got goes straight through the enemy. So 15 down to 13 on the elf. And we got these 2 cards to add to our hand. So we head into the second main phase. There's nothing here I want to do. I want to keep the cards that I have, not use the blue one that I have here for the main phase right now. It doesn't really affect anything. We now head to the discard phase. I can, again, discard cards if I wish to get CP. Not going to bother. I'm at 6, which is the limit for my hand. Perfect. But we have no more doubloons for the first time in the game. So guess what happens? This whole board is flipping over. Just like that, my poor pirate has been fully cursed, and you'll see in the bottom left-hand corner the passive has changed. It says during the upkeep phase, you receive 4 damage. So every time we take a turn, we are going to be taking damage that we cannot stop. So this is the price to pay when you change over to this side of the board. You become more powerful. You'll notice some of the different abilities here have gone up in terms of their damage amounts and the ability to do that damage. And also, as a part of the passive here, it says if the opponent's offensive roll does not result in an attack, in other words, they miss their mark or their objective that they're trying to roll towards, then you get a powder keg token on that enemy. So you get a free kind of powder keg just flying around at this point every time they mess up their attack. But I've only seen them miss me once, I think, so far. So it's not going to happen a ton unless I start mitigating or messing with their dice to try to make that happen more often. So we've got a very different game going on now because we're no longer mitigating cursed doubloons. We are mitigating health all the time. Now, something I want to talk about, because I believe I mentioned it, but I didn't do it, and I'll do it later, is going to be spending the salve in order to bump my health up. For now, 24 health, I should be A-okay against this enemy. We'll continue to fight, and then we'll use the salve and get ourselves back up. All right, so we're simply going ahead and rolling dice and keeping anything that can build straights. That's literally the aim of the game here for this one, so let's go ahead and roll. We got ourselves, oh my gosh, we got 1, we got a 4 and a 5, so it's going to keep these ones right here for sure, because these 3 will make this very first row, and now it's hunting for a 2 or a 6, and these ones don't meet the mark, so we'll re-roll that. And that also doesn't meet the mark. Here's hoping that it just stays at the level of a 3 straight. That'd be great. Ugh, it got itself to a 4. So it's going to do this one here. It's going to inflict barbed vine. I don't like that. That'll be a negative status effect I'll talk about in a second. It's dealing 8 defendable damage. So let's use our defense. I actually don't like this. I'm going to go ahead and use my Tippet card in instant action, spending 1 CP, drop me from 12 to 11, in order to increase or decrease a die value by 1. So we're going to drop this 2 down to a 1. That will break this straight into just 3. So it'll be just a micro straight, dealing 6 regular damage we can actually defend against. This one was 8 regular damage, but also came with a barbed vine I don't want to deal with. The curse side of the dashboard has 5 defense dice. That's pretty nice. We're going to go ahead and roll these off, see what we get. Whoa, that's pretty good. So we got ourselves 3 damage going straight through to the enemy. That's going to drop it down to 10 from 13. And then we've got 2, which is going to give us 2 CP, bringing us from 11 to 13. So the poor health of my Cursed Pirate is down to 18. Worth mentioning, I could have used some other cards, I think, in hand instead of the Tippet one, because I have some that could have kept it at 8, which I would have gotten 8 damage, so I'd be down to 16, and then taken the barbed vine and then used cards to get rid of the barbed vine. So it would have been extra damage. I don't know if the Tippet was the right time to use it right then. I could have probably saved that for a better opportunity, but we'll go with it and see what happens. That's going to do it in terms of the defense. We are back to my turn. So we head into my phase, nothing for the upkeep, but we do get our income, so we're going up to 14. We've got lots of CP to spend. Let's see what we get for our card here. We got ourselves Feed the Fish, inflict powder keg on up to 3 different opponents. Wow, that is a big one. What do we want to do here? We are inside the main phase. We have options. I'm actually going to choose not to use any cards whatsoever, and I want to make one other mention about the Cursed Pirate, that when I said earlier that you no longer have to worry about cursed doubloons, it's not that you don't have to worry about them, but they don't have any effect on the board flipping over anymore. The only ways you can use them now going forward is to put them on enemies, and that, in combination with abilities you have on the Cursed Pirate's board or dashboard, you can actually inflict extra damage for those doubloons. So they're still useful, they're just no longer something you have to mitigate on your player board as much. So we're going to go into this attack here. I'm hoping for lots of skulls. We'll see how far down the rabbit hole we can go with those. We got 1 off the hop. I'm really hoping to see undefendable damage. That's really what I'm trying to get to here. So we got 2. Let's see if we get lucky enough to get the third one. Yeah, we got it. So that's going to be the shivering right there. That's going to deal 8 undefendable damage, and we add 1 damage for each cursed bloom that the opponents are inflicted with, but we don't have any on there, so unfortunately we don't get that extra bonus. But 8 through is good. It has 10, so it's now down to 2. It's almost gone. And what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use the Feed the Fish card here. This one's going to allow me to spend 3 CP. I'm going to place a powder keg on up to 3 different opponents. I'm only fighting 1 in this case, so we're going to place that powder keg right there. So that way when it activates, it is going to have to deal with some pain. So our CP is dropping from 14 down to 11 on the dial, which I'm adjusting right now. And do we want to do anything else? We don't have any other negative status effects. I do have 1 more blue card I could use to remove status effects, but that's not going to help me right now. Discard phase, I have 5 cards, happy with that. And that's going to round out my turn. So we now are rolling on this powder keg here for this individual. So we want to see a 1 or a 2, and this thing is dead. So here we go. We got a 6. That's not what we wanted to see. Do we have anything we can use to change this? Because otherwise that keg is coming to us. Nope, we do not, and that keg is now sitting on our dashboard and is going to be causing us problems as we go along. So the Black Root Elf is going to go ahead and do its roll, trying to get it straight, so let's go ahead and see what it can pull off. Now, the first time we roll for a straight with this enemy, I didn't do a really good job of explaining exactly how it's set up in the rulebook, so let's talk about it. So when you're rolling for straights, how it works is you're looking for 1 of each of the values from 2 to 5. Anything that is duplicates from 2 to 5 automatically get re-rolled, and you don't keep any 1s or 6s on the ends if you don't already have a straight that you're working with or basically can be tagged onto. So what you'll do is you'll roll your dice and you'll keep 1 for each result that's a 2, 3, 4, or 5. So you're taking a look here and you're going, okay, so we got 3, we got 4. We don't have anything else. This is a 1, this is a duplicate. So these are the outside ones, 1 and 6, and 3 we already have. So we're going to keep the 3 and the 4 and we're going to continue rolling. All right, so we got ourselves a 5, so we keep 5s, because remember, anything 2 to 5, we automatically keep. 1 to 6 are on the edge cases, but this is not an edge case anymore because we have the 3. So now we've moved up to a 4, and we still have 1 more reroll. We know this one can't tag on, so let's roll again. We got ourselves a 5, that's a duplicate, so that's not going to do anything, and we're done right there. So that's going to be 4, which means we're inflicted with barbed wire, and we're dealt 8 damage. All right, we're going to do our best to try and get rid of these status effects, so I'm not going to worry about explaining them right now, but barbed wire is really annoying because essentially whenever you roll past your first roll in an offensive roll phase, it's going to start cutting you and hurting you. So it's not a good one to have on your status board. So we're going to go ahead and do our defensive roll here. So we have 5. Remember, this is a 8 damage attacks, kind of hefty. We're going to see whether or not we can actually defend against this or not, and I really hope we can. So let's get our dice and do our roll. We get all 5 dice, which I love from the curse side of the equation. Let's see how we do. Got ourselves, wow, okay, so this is actually interesting. We can inflict a curse to bloom here. Oh, that's going to be great. Okay, so we got 2 damage going through, and actually that will be enough to kill it. So it's going to die this turn, which is great. Sweet. We're going to gain a CP. That's going to bring us up to 12. So this thing's going to die, but it's going to do something to us. Thank goodness I got 2 skulls, though, because that's going to be 2 times 2 is I get to prevent 4 damage. So I only get hit with 4. That was really nice. So I go from 18 down to 14. Still a nasty hit, though. And then this is going to inflict a curse to bloom. I can't inflict it if it's already dead, so unfortunately I don't get to use it. But this is a good example of when you can inflict a curse to bloom. So these tokens, again, changed. They're now being, made primarily when you're playing against the enemy AI of the game to be inflicted against the enemy. And you'll see here, if you have the shivering, you can add damage for each of the cursed doubloons you're placing on those enemies. So the defense can really start to accumulate doubloons on the enemy, and then you can, smack it with something like this and really get some extra damage. So we were able to kill off the Blood Elf thanks to our defense, which was able to take out the last 2 health, and that's enough to take out this individual. We get a level 3 loot, but that is going to end out the battle, so there is no main phase, there is no discard phase because it wasn't our turn. That's going to stop right there. We'll gain our loot. Let's go ahead and roll our loot die and see how we do. We're going to deal with these status effects a little later on. I'm also going to be using my salve very soon too. We got ourselves a wow, that almost was a 1. Thank goodness to the token for helping me there. That's going to be a 13. That's going to give us 3 gold. We're going from 19 to 22. We're back into a move and explore. We can spend ourselves. So we're going to spend this one here in order to give ourselves 6 health, bringing us back up to 20. And just before we move on, I need to make a correction that I missed, and this is probably likely due to me looking at all the new abilities and effects from this new side of the dashboard, but I forgot at the end of the turn as I was battling against the enemy, I was supposed to take 4 damage for one of the complete turns I took with the Cursed Pirate, so we're dropping ourselves from 20 down to 16. At this point, based on the fact we have all the portal shards, I think our main focus with health going down the tubes quite quickly, thanks to the Cursed Pirate being fully cursed at this point and hurting itself as it goes along, we really need to rush to the exit. So let's head to that level 2 battle at the very tail end. Would you look at that? It's more salt. This one called Pillars of Salt. It says spawn a level 2 enemy as you'd expect, or alternatively, roll a die 1 to 3, we spawn 1 higher, which would certainly not be good, or a 4 to 5, we just gain gold and we're done. It appears we found more salt. Instead of being at the mountains of salt, we've moved to the pillars of salt. This one says spawn a level 2 minion, which we'd expect from this blue tile here. But alternatively, we can roll a die on a 1 to 3, we spawn a higher tiered enemy, very much like the mountains of salt we dealt with over here, but we decided not to bother. Or a 4 to 6, we gain gold, and we're done. So we could literally get the gold, be done, not have to encounter anything here, and then just move right into that final minion battle. So let's go for the roll. It's a 50-50 shot. Now here's what's brutal. I don't have anything currently that I can use. I'm just checking really quickly to see if there's anything I can use to re-roll. No, there is not. So whatever the die says is what happens. So here we go. Let's find out if we are fighting a higher level enemy or getting an easy pass by. We are safe. Wow, what a way to roll 6. Okay, so we got 3 coins. We don't have to fight anybody here. That's great. So we go from 22 to 25, and we can move to that boss portal. We move into the portal. It says we gain 2 CP, so we go from 12 to 14. That's a nice little jump. We get 3 gold, so we're going up even more on the gold. We're going from 25 to 28, so a lot more money to spend. I don't think there's anything else in the corner here. Then it says to spawn. We are going to be spawning a level 4 minion. It begins with 1 additional King's Hand token. We've come up against a level 4 minion, the Corrupted Rogue. It has 30 health, which is double our health value. It has a whole bunch of combat points. You'll see it has a King's Hand token here. This, in terms of what it does, you'll note right on the scenario, it talks about it. It tells you that it is going to be mentioned on this minion's card itself as to how many you get. And then the max usage of those tokens per turn, and then successful roll values are 4 to 6. Now, what does this King's Hand and when is it used? Well, if this enemy is doing its roll to try and get straights and it does not trigger any of these effects, it will then go ahead and try to roll a die for this King's Hand. And if it rolls 4 to 6, it does get another offensive roll against me. So in other words, it's kind of like a saving grace for itself to come at me again. The other way that this can trigger is if I throw my ultimate attack at it, it's going to go ahead and roll a die. And again, if it's on a successful 4 to 6, it's going to manipulate one of the dies that I have and force me to re-roll it, meaning it's going to try to screw up my ultimate. So even if you get your ultimate, which for me is 5 skulls, it's going to try to have me re-roll and mess that up. So it's going to make it even tougher to get big hits on these guys. Now this thing also has a passive, which doesn't sound nice. It says at the start of your turn, you gain 2 CP. On a failed offensive roll, you gain a damage boost +3 and shadows. So it's got that as a fallback as well with a +3 damage boost, pretty nasty. Now the shadows effect, what it does is it's going to completely remove all the damage from the equation when an attack that's successful comes at it, but it won't stop effects. Those effects will still trigger on it, but it will stop all the damage. So this thing has first strength, so it's going to go ahead and get its passive of going up 2 on the combat point style. You'll notice that combat points are a big part of what it does for damage. So it's going to be boosting itself up over time passively, which I don't like. We're going to go ahead and roll its dice. It's looking for straight, so we know how this operates. Let's see how it goes. So we got 3 and 4 in the middle. These are outskirts 1 and 6, so it's going to keep the 3 and the 4. Let's continue rolling here as it tries to make a straight. 5, 3, so the 5 will be kept. The 4 is a duplicate, the 3 is a duplicate, so we're doing good. The only way it's going to get something right now is if it gets a small straight, which is 4. So it needs to see a 6 or a 2. And it got the 6. All right, so it made a small straight. It's going to deal half the CP as damage, rounded up. So it's going to be 5 damage coming my way. This is going to be defendable damage. Now this is a timing thing, knowing full well that I could potentially blow up from a powder keg when my turn eventually comes around. So in order to get rid of it early, what I'm going to do before I do my defensive rolls, I'm going to use my instant action card here to get rid of this powder keg so I don't have to even think about it later on. So we're going to go ahead because I do not want that to even possibly trigger. So we're dropping from 14 down to 12. That one goes away. I have to pick one. It's not for both status effects I have here, just one. So that is gone. Now let's go ahead and do our defensive roll here. So we've got 5 dice. Let's see how we do. We need to grab our hand of dice. Let's hopefully get some decent results off this. Okay. So that's going to be not bad, actually. So we got ourselves 1 damage going through, which is not going to do a whole bunch. So that's going to knock him down to 29. And then we're going to gain 2 CP. So we're going back up to 14 on the dial. And then we got ourselves... we prevent some damage, which is great. So only 5's coming through. We're blocking 4 of it. So only 1 hits us. That's huge. That's really nice. And then here we get to inflict a curse to bloom. Do we? No, we were just shy of the swords being able to pull that off. That would have been nice. That's going to do it for the enemy's turn. We now move on to mine. Upkeep phase, nothing to trigger, thank goodness, because I got rid of the powder keg when I did. We're going to now go ahead and do income. So we're going to go up to 15 on the dial for CP. We have the most CP we can possibly have at this point. We're going to draw a card off the top of the deck. Hopefully it's something worthwhile. Inflict a powder keg. Oh man, we're definitely using that. So we're in the main phase right now. I'm going to use this first for 2. This is going to remove the barbed wire. I do not want to have to deal with that at all. So this is going to be gone. That card is also gone. We're also going to use the powder keg. This one's going to cost 2. We're going to throw that on the corrupted rogue. Now, in terms of cards here, we have some good ones, but maybe not the best time to use it. There is a stack limit on these ones. I have 1 already on the Corrupted Rogue in terms of a powder keg, so maybe using this one's not a great idea at the moment. We'll wait till later. This one here, you select your opponent's die and they have to pay you to re-roll it. This actually could be nice because it would kind of knock down their combat points a bit, so it actually might not be a bad idea to do this. Let's go ahead and do just that. Let's go ahead and knock this down. So we're going to pay 1 CP. And we're going to knock their CP down by 2. So my CP is now at 10, enemies is at 8, and it's worth mentioning I forgot just moments ago to knock my health down by 4 thanks to being cursed. Remember that 4 damage you're inflicted from the passive on the board is coming at the upkeep phase, which is at the very top. It happens right away. This is different than when this board is flipped over and you're losing cursed doubloons at the end of the turn. So it's a little bit of a brain switch there in terms of remembering things. But we're going to go on now to us doing a roll. And I'm looking at this card potentially helping me re-roll. I really want to get Cursed Touch, which is the ultimate for this thing. It's off screen, you can't see it right now, but basically we get 5 skulls. That would be a massive attack. This thing could try and roll to stop me anyway, or have me re-roll, but I'd like to try to go for it anyway. I just don't even know if it's going to be possible. So we got 1 skull off the top. We'll keep that and roll the rest. Yikes, we are just not getting what we need here. Now we could start going for straights and stuff, I guess, at this point, if we wanted to try to mitigate what's going on. Now this one says if we use it, a chosen player may perform a reroll of up to 5 dice during, so it's up to, so we'd have, you know, it's just a one-time up to 5 dice roll. So it's not like rolling a single die multiple times. It's just one more time rolling up to 5 dice. So I don't know if this is going to be the roll where I want to do that. That's the problem. So here I have I actually have the ability to do a decent damage here and inflict wither. And I can steal CP. Actually, you know what? This is actually pretty good. Just so you can see, here's a look at the attack I want to pull off right now. This will allow me to steal a CP. Opponent discards a card, but they don't have cards, so no issue there. Inflicts Wither. Wither is going to basically reduce the damage that they're pushing out the door at me by 1. And then I get to deal 8 damage. So pretty solid overall. We're going to do that. So I've got its combat points from 10 down to 7, which is good. It's now going to roll its defense here. It's going to be trying to ignore all my defense. It also states here it'll try to steal 2 of my combat points as well, which I don't like if it gets too red. And it did, right off of the hop here. So it's going to ignore all the damage I threw at it and steal 2 CP from me. That's going to be my turn all done. Nothing to do in the main phase that I want to do. Discarding wise, don't have to worry about it. We now go to the Corrupted Rogue. We have a powder keg. We have to and basically activate and see if it blows up. 1 to 2, it blows up. And it does. We actually inflict 3 damage. It's going to go up to 9 combat points as well, and it's going to roll here looking for it straight. Let's see if we can get that straight for it. I really don't want to, but I have to. So 3, 4, 5 will be kept. 3 and 4 will be re-rolled, and we got a 6 that'll be tagged on to the end. So that is going to be enough for a small straight. Will it get? No, it does not get to the large. So at least it stays here. It's dealing what it did before, half the CP damage. So half of this is 4.5 rounded up. So it's dealing 5 damage to me. Well, here's hoping I can weather this storm because it's probably not going to be good. Let's see what we got here. So, whoa, we're throwing a lot of damage back. Well, not a lot, but 3 and gaining 2 CP, but we're not blocking anything. I'm going to go ahead and use one more time here because I need to be able to prevent damage. I'm taking too much. I'm going to die too soon. So we're going to go ahead and reroll all these. I'm looking for skulls because I really want to try to prevent as much damage as possible. Okay, so I just got 1 prevention there. So 3 damage is getting through. That's going to drop me down to 8. Ugh, not looking good, not looking good. And then what else happens? We do 2 damage to it. So it's going to drop from 26 down to 24. And we're going to gain 2 CP. So we're going from 7 to 9. I forgot about Wither, which reduces damage by 1. So actually I get 1 health back. So we're up to 9. Good. We head into the upkeep phase. We know what this is all about. We're taking another 4 damage. This is not looking good. I don't think we're going to pull this one off, folks. We might as well just go ahead and use this for the fun of it at this point. This is going to be 2 CP. Now we're going to do our income phase first. Let's not get out of control here. So first we'll go up to 10 on the CP, and then we're going to go ahead and we're going to grab another card, which is nice because maybe it'll have something that we can use right away. We got select one of your opponent's dice and force them to reroll. That could be actually really good. We'll go ahead and do this right now. So we're going to spend 2 CP, dropping us down to 8. We're going to roll 5 dice, and we're going to be adding a bunch of stuff to the roll. So I'm going to choose to actually activate this after I roll and figure out what damage I'm going to do. So we'll just know I've paid for that. Let's do our roll here and see what we can actually put together. Here's hoping I can put together something really nice. That's not exactly nice. That's a pretty poor roll. I might keep the 4, 5, and the 2. I think that's what I'll do. And kind of just keep digging, see what I'll find here. Oh my gosh, all I can roll is chess. So dead mark here, you get 2 CP, roll 4 dice, you can get, oh, that's actually not bad. It's not bad, it doesn't give you, it's not a ton of damage. But that might be the play. So maybe we do that. Let's go ahead and go like this. So we're gonna stop right here, we're gonna have that, and we're gonna gain 2 CP, so we're gonna go up to 10. And then we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna roll 4 dice. And really depending on what happens with these 4 dice is what happens below. So we got ourselves so we're going to actually put a Curse to Bloom on the enemy. That's good. We're going to draw 1 card. That could be handy depending on what it is. And we can steal a CP from an enemy. That's good. And then we're going to be able to put through 4 damage that they cannot defend against. So it's dropping from 24 to 20. So we're doing something. As I mentioned, I already paid for this one, so we're going to do this attack modifier on top of it. So we're going to be rolling 5 dice, and then depending on the roll, we'll be adding a bunch of stuff to the equation. Let's see. Oh, that is crazy. So that's going to add another 5 on top. Now, what's really cool about using the attack modifier when you have an undefendable damage as your original attack is the damage here turns into the same type. So basically, this 5 damage is undefendable and goes straight through. So 20 down to 15. So strategy-wise, it's very, very worth it to put attack modifiers with an original attack that was undefendable. That's going to make it easier to get that damage through. I'm now in the main phase. I'm going to go ahead and pillage. This is free. It's going to allow me to take away a CP from the enemy, which is good, just reducing it down to 8. This one I'll keep for its turn, but that's going to be it. And we've already taken the damage in the upkeep phase for this turn. So we're down to 5. We're probably going to die next turn, but we're going to push through and see how far we can go. Now, it's worth mentioning that the doubloon that I placed on here moments ago in the upkeep phase of the Corrupted Rogue does inflict a damage. So it dropped from 15 to 14. I've already gone ahead and done that. So now this thing is going to try and attack me at this point. So it's going to be doing some roll here and trying to get it straights like it normally does. It's got itself a 5, which it's happy to hold on to, and a 3 and a 2. And can it really do anything with this? No, these are all kind of like broken apart. So it's going to re-roll the 1 and the 6. We're going to get a 2 and a 6. So it's not going to keep the 6 because it doesn't actually connect to anything. The 2 is a double, so it's going to roll again. And it's going to get a 1, which does nothing. And this does nothing. So this, oh, sorry, actually, yeah, no, it does nothing at all. So this is a perfect example of when a straight could not be completed all the way through. This is where the King's Hand's going to come into play. So the token is spent. We're going to roll a die on a 4, 5, or 6. This individual gets to go through its offensive roll again. So here we go. and it doesn't. So it gets no attack whatsoever. Now it does say here as a passive on a failed offensive roll, which this certainly was, it's going to gain a damage boost of 3 and shadows. And that's going to do it for the enemy's turn, which worked out really nice for me. Upkeep phase hits my Cursed Pirate. We're dropping ourselves down to 1 point of health. Hanging on by a thread. We're going to gain our 1 CP for the income. We're going to get ourselves a card, and we're going to hope this card is good because we don't have much going on here. This one is a chosen player may perform a reroll of up to 5 dice during their defensive roll phase. Wow, what a good card to get with 1 health remaining. I am okay with that. So here's the fun part. Now, this thing's in the shadows. So basically, if I do any damage to it, it is not going to take that damage, which is really frustrating because I can't even, throw a really big hit against it. And really, this is the final turn for me because if I'm not able to take out 14 damage on this thing, there's nothing I can do. What I was hoping to see was one of the cards come through that allows me to remove status tokens, and I could have hopefully used that to get rid of the shadow token that was sitting on the corrupted rogue, but I don't have that ability right now, and I'm just taking a look through here to see if there is anything that allows me to discard any kind of positive status from the enemy, and I don't see anything in here that does that. My ultimate would not even do enough damage to get through and kill it because it's got 14, and the ultimate can do 13. It would throw powder keg and a bunch of other stuff, but I'd be in big trouble regardless. Actually, you know what? If I was to get... this could... No, it wouldn't work because this still would all go on here, but this thing would still, even if it didn't take the damage, because it's in the shadows, when it comes back to my turn again, my health hit for being cursed would take me out regardless. But I could try to go for a curse touch just for fun in this situation, because at this point, I really think I'm kind of on the edge of death. And there's nothing else I can do. Well, let me think about this. Can I go ahead? No, I can't do that either. Nope, that's pretty much it. So let's go ahead and roll. Oh my gosh, what in the heck? This is okay, this game is just trying to tease me now. It wants me to get the ultimate just so I can die. So we got 4 right now. That is crazy. I have not rolled that the entirety of the playthrough, so that's wild. Let's keep going. Let's go for it. Why not? Let's see it. Oh, there's a miss. And of course, it doesn't have its king's hand anymore, so it can't stop this. Oh no, really? I'm going to be short by just 1, and I can't use any of these to get it. Oh, that's brutal. I really wanted that. But you know what? We can get this one here. So we do get, and this is what I was talking about, we get parlay with the Black Soul. So that's still good, but remember, I'm going to die from my own, curseness anyway. So this parlay is going to go up here. We're going to get a powder keg on the enemy as well. This status symbols on the corrupted rogue right now are crazy. We're dealing 8 undefendable damage. Now again, this damage that's going through, because it's in the shadows, nothing happens damage wise. So just to clarify things, I've placed a powdered keg and a wither. The status effects from the successful attack still go on, even though this thing is in the shadows. It just doesn't take the damage. So this thing is going to be sitting at 14 health still, and it's going to go to its turn next because that's the end of my turn. I have nothing else here that I need or want to do. I am dead when it comes back to me anyway. We'll go through the motions with this one. So basically coming over here, we take a look, and this shadows one will not go away until the end of this activation. The turn has to start and then end, and then the token goes away. This keg is going to trigger, and this doubloon is going to trigger, so the doubloon is going to hurt it, so it's going to drop it to 13. We're going to roll for the keg to see whether the keg explodes, and it does not. It actually goes on my character. So not only am I going to die from my own curse, a powder keg is also going to explode in my face. It's going to be a double death situation. And then these wither ones are here. So again, I have parlay on this thing, so no damage is coming towards me. So rolling for anything doesn't make any sense. It's going to get its CP. So let's bump its CP up passively to 10. Now, if it's rolling, it's going to be doing CP. It doesn't matter. There's no point in rolling because basically I might as well just remove the parlay token because essentially the damage will come through, but nothing's actually going to come through. So parlay deals with that. That's going to end off its turn. Of course, it would have been reduced if damage even got through anyway. And it would have been a bunch. And I don't know if that automatically gets applied to the next attack from the enemy. I'm not sure if that automatically gets used the next time it attacks. And because I had parlay on, it would just get kind of sucked up in whatever attack it ends up getting. So this one might go as well. So you'd roll the dice, do the attack, the parlay would block it all. So this would go, the wither would reduce anything. all kind of triggers right then. The turn is over for the Corrupted Rogue, so the Shadow token also disappears. And that is it. And then it comes to my turn. We're inside the upkeep phase, so we have 2 bad things that are going to happen that could potentially hurt my health. Let's go ahead and resolve the Powder Keg first, because I can choose whatever I want. It blew up. So there we go. The Powder Keg killed me, and then on top of it, my health just crumbled me into ash afterwards. Thanks to being cursed, I went into the negatives. So that is going to be a loss at the very tail end of the portal crawl. When you finish off a scenario, whether you won or lost, you're going to come to page 12 of the Adventures Rulebook. There's a whole conclusion section here. The first thing you do is do shop and boss loot. So the face down card that is unidentified loot right now under my player dashboard, remember we gained that during the play, we can now identify this at the shop by paying gold, and then we get that card to add into our deck. So it's pretty cool. We can also just spend gold. We've got 28 of it in order to go ahead and buy things from the shop. That's a whole other section. So you do the shopping, then you go into recording your win or loss. So if you won, you go through these steps and you deal with the campaign page in this fashion. And if you lost, which I did, then you go through a smaller amount of steps and you're going to record, of course, some negatives, but also get a little bit of a boost in the salves department when you try to repeat it the next time. That's exactly what you do at the very end, is you determine, well, if you lost, you're going to repeat the scenario, but you get the boost of salves, which will be nice because it'll give you a benefit of pushing you hopefully over the edge enough to win the next time. And then if your team won, you're just moving on to the next scenario. On the following page, page 13, there's a shop section to walk you through that. There is a dashboard to represent the shop you'll place on the table and have cards moving around there. And you'll see how it operates right here. So first off, your gold total per player is going to go up in increments to the nearest 5 gold. So if we're at 28, we're ticking up to 30. Then we go to dealing shop cards. You're going to deal based on the conclusion section of the scenario that you're playing. So you'll come here and take a look and it'll say shop 3 and 1. It tells you exactly. And then it tells you to record the loss in the score sheet, repeat the scenario. So it's giving you the instructions on how to move forward. You'll gain cards by, of course, paying for those cards. And then you can also, as I mentioned before, identify, spending 10 gold to identify an unidentified loot card, which I have underneath my dashboard. If I just lift this manual just a little bit, there is one right here. I'm going to spend 10 gold, taking me from 30 to 20, finding out what this is. I've identified my common loot card and it allows me to inflict knockdown on a chosen opponent. It is a free instant action card. That is a good one. It's going to go into my deck. Again, these loot cards that you identify will make your deck better and better as the game goes on. You can also, again, spend gold in order to buy specific cards that are in the shop as well. So whether you're gaining them through loot as you're going through a portal crawl, for instance, or you're buying them when you're in the shop, you have multiple ways to make your deck better over time. And as you progress further into Dice Throne Adventures, you're going to run into boss battles. These are going to feel very much like the multiplayer side of the equation, where you have a full dashboard, cards, dials, dice, reference cards, status effects, all this coming your way when you're fighting a boss, making it a lot tougher of a battle than the regular ones you've seen throughout this series. And that, my friends, is going to wrap up my showcase for Dice Throne Adventures from Rosella Games. If you're interested in this one, there is a campaign ongoing for more Dice Throne content, and it does have solo and cooperative avenues as well there too. So not only can you seek out this adventure set, which allows you to play with any of the Dice Throne characters inside of it, whether it be the fantasy-based ones or the ones coming from Marvel or the newest X-Men one, for example. The X-Men one also has its own solo cooperative comic book style adventure that you're going to go on in there. So you're going to have multiple different ways to enjoy this game when all of this content comes out. There's also reprints, of course, for the content that's already existing that are in the pipes. So you'll have opportunities not only during the campaign to pick this up, but also from the shop at Roxley as well. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you want to find the newest campaign, look in the pinned comment video description to find that. It's likely closing in the very near future. Really hope this helps you make an informed decision on it. And as always, keep on rolling solo.